the revolutionary ankle lock system, an integrated brace built into the boots, delivering unrivaled support, protecting ligaments from twists, tears, and trauma.
Matt Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Our Kings competitions were here. Gareth A, Davies. It's normally a Monday, but we're back on a Tuesday. How are we, my mate?
Well, thanks for reminding me it's Tuesday, not Monday, because it felt like a Monday, even though my Monday felt like a Friday because of the sad passing of Joe Bugner. I'm very well indeed, and you look very fresh and replenished, recalibrated, ready for the autumn season of boxing with some big announcements just having been made. And you went away and loads of fights got announced.
Do you know what? I'm buzzing the way it worked out because I've come back now and I'm raring to go. There's a fight week this week. Get to go to Dublin. The week after, Canelo Crawford, and we'll have someone there covering Crocker Donovan. There's been a lot of news come out as well, so I feel like it's sort of worked out at just the right time now to get going again. Busy period coming up.
Absolutely, like you say, Bateson challenging Jack Bateson. Good challenge for Michael Conlan, who's rejuvenated and back this weekend in Dublin. I had Michael on the Talk Sports show on Saturday night. One of my favourite fighters and favourite people in the sport. Brilliant person, great family steeped in boxing. Like you say, we're both off to Crawford and Canelo next week. Looking forward to that. It's a thing I had to be at. If not, I'd have been at Crocker and Donovan, Lewis Crocker and Paddy Donovan in Windsor Park in Belfast. That'll be a big night for the Irish. That's now a world title fight, of course. And Canelo Crawford's going to be massive. And as you say, apart from the sad passing of Joe Bugner, Hungarian, then British, then Aussie, fought some of the greats. I don't know if you're going to ask me about him, but obviously the announcement of Joseph Parker, well, not the announcement, the teasing of Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley. I'm hearing behind the scenes Ajit Kabayel's got a fight coming up in Germany. Can't reveal the opponent. I know a name, but I'm not going to reveal it. I'll let them do that. And also talk of Moses Itauma fighting later in the year as well. So really interesting, really interesting autumn and winter underway.
I want to start not on a fight, but on. I've seen this list come out. I've seen it a few times. The top 50 boxing power list that goes onto boxing news. And one of the things that struck me, and I think it struck other people straight away, you start at 50, you scroll through, and I'm like, number 49, Anthony Joshua. And immediately my ears prick up. And look, I know obviously he's coming off a defeat, but what that man has done, and I think me, myself, and other people should be thankful for him because he's probably kept a lot of us in jobs with what he's done for boxing. Are you surprised that he's that far down that list?
It's a shocker, isn't it? It really is a shocker. So, I mean, Lee Eaton, who's very proud to be number 30, how can Lee Eaton be at 30 and Anthony Joshua at 49? I mean, it kind of, I don't know. I mean, Eddie Hearn has used the word vendetta from whoever put this list together against Anthony Joshua, but I just think they've got the order wrong. Even Umar Kremlev at 47, very influential figure with the IBA.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other anomalies.
It just seemed very strange. You would have thought at least top 20 minimum, I would have thought.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Quite comfortably.
Yeah. Just with his reach as a household name, you'd think he was bigger than that. I don't know whether they had I mean, Tyson Fury's at 22, Spencer Brown's at 13. I chatted to Spencer Brown about that. Mayweather's at 16. I don't think he has a lot of influence in boxing anymore. Although if he came back, I suppose he would. I think they've got the top 10 pretty good. But I'm surprised you got Canelo at 5, and then Joshua at 49.
I just think with the man's, forget what you think of his fight game, the pulling power that he has. Commercially, he's ridiculous for what he does. You know yourself, if he goes and fights pretty much anyone in that top 10, Wembley fills up, even now. I
Yeah,
still think
absolutely.
so. To say he's 49, I was just a bit like really, like that far. But I suppose I don't know. I don't know how that list is sort of put together. Like, what's the format for
Well,
it?
it's put together by I Visit Boxing, the new proudly brought to you. I'm in association. Maybe that's just sponsoring it. I don't know, but yeah, very very unusual, and I'm glad you raise it.
Yeah.
Glad you raise it. Obviously, Turkey at one, Frank Warren at two, Eddie Hearn at three. Even though Eddie Hearn says he's number one, but you know,
Yeah.
Eddie would say that, wouldn't he?
Absolutely would. Look, let's move on from that. I wanted to speak. I saw on Sky Sports earlier today. I was just doing my research, and with the Eubank Benn fight coming up in November, there's been the talk about the rehydration clause again, and Eddie Hearns sort of has doubled down on this, saying the rehydration clause for this fight is categorically not a problem for Chris Eubank going into the fight. But with what we've been speaking about for the past how many months, we know factually he was in hospital for a number of days after the fight with, I don't know if it was acute dehydration, I can't remember the correct wording. Chronic.
Chronic dehydration.
What do you make of Eddie's comments? Is he just
Well,
reaffirming the fact that this fight is safe and it's good to go? He can make it. What do you make of them comments?
Well, I don't want to be complicit in Eddie Hearn's arguments, but I actually spoke to Robert Smith, the General Secretary of the Boxing Board of Control, about this yesterday. It was off the record, so I'm not kind of
Yeah,
quoting him here. But Robert's argumentation with me was, if argumentation is the right word, certainly what he put forward to me is, look, we do not, we do not, we will not stand against the fight because Eubank's been a middleweight most of his career. He's made 160 so many times, and so we are not unhappy with that fight being made at 160. Conor Benn's given interviews as well as Eddie, saying, "Look, we're not giving him a yard, we're not giving him an inch because he'll take a yard," and that's the way they've gone about it. And it's Conor Benn's coming up two weight divisions. You could say one weight division, but really he's not a big light middleweight. He's a welterweight, so he's coming up two weight divisions. Eubank, as we saw in the first fight, had all the physical size advantages. And, some people will say that Eubank turned up late for the weigh-in and didn't leave himself enough time to lose that Cadbury's cream egg in weight. That cost him whatever it was, £395,000 in the end. It didn't make the cut, or didn't make the weight. So, yes, there are concerns. They've been made largely by Chris Eubank Senior about his son, but we're concerned that his son is going to go a very difficult 12 rounds, and it may be another difficult 12 rounds, but it'll even up the fight, even though I do think there are dangers. There are some dangers, in my view, for Chris Eubank.
Yeah. You mean purely down to the weight?
Well, if he has reached his mid-30s and it is difficult shaking that weight, look, he's a consummate professional. We know that. He lives the life. He doesn't, he doesn't abuse himself. He's a prize fighter. He's a showman. But outside that, he's not someone that lives a life of drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and alcohol. He's not, and not that I believe. I think he's.
No.
I've known him a long time, and I think he's dedicated to his craft. So, yes, he likes a bit of poker and a few late nights, but he's a very reasoned human being. He's hard to get hold of these days, but he's a very reasoned human being, and I think this time he probably won't want to take the penalty for not making the weight.
Moving away from this fight, let me ask you. So, I was away, but I saw it on my phone. Darren Till, I have to say, I've spoken to him the last 2 years. He's probably one of my favourite people to interview because he speaks his mind. He does not care at all. Like, he is what he is, and he can fight. And he's shown he's had a little bit of activity now with the people he's fighting, and he's shown a decent boxing brain. And look, he's got a bit of power, but as soon as he knocked Rockhold out, straight for Carl Froch, who was sat eating an apple ringside, doing what Carl does. And I know he was there just to watch, and he said I left quickly because of this. He's obviously slammed Darren Till's ability, etc., I believe, and things like that. But what do you make of this? Because I saw Carl's interview with the chap from DAZN about potentially would he roll the dice, come back, and talks about the money. Would you buy into Darren Till versus Carl Froch?
Yeah, in a way, but it doesn't even interest me that much. Carl's been out 11 years. Don't really want to see him box again. And I don't think he's going to come back unless he's earning 5 million plus. I can't see him doing it unless he gets a massive payday. I don't think Carl Froch and Darren Till, certainly at present, sells more than an O2 Arena. It's not a big stadium fight. I think Darren mentioned Wembley Stadium. It won't do Wembley Stadium by any stroke of the imagination. It's not big enough. Neither of them has a following in terms of who'd pay to go to a bigger stadium at the moment that would make that happen. So I don't see it happening. I think they'd like it to happen, but whether they can get enough money on the table for Carl Froch, I don't know. But my instinct is it's a Jake Paul fight that would get him back, not a Darren Till fight. But Froch would need something bigger than that to get him back. But it was certainly entertaining, and Froch has done the numbers afterwards as well.
Yeah, as he always does. Joseph Parker, Fabio Wardley. We spoke we spoke at the start of the interview about that. I feel two ways about this. For me, as obviously doing the job, but as a boxing fan, I look at this fight and go, what a fight. Fabio Wardley, we've seen you when the chips are down, he can produce. Joseph Parker, the resurgence under Andy Lee. But then I also look and go, you deserve a world title shot. What's your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I understand. My understanding is after talking behind the scenes when that was, it's not announced yet, but we're all teasing it. It's still under discussion and it's still to be finalised. We understand it's October the 25th, the O2 Arena. Great to return there. I think it'll sell it out. I think it'll be a great night. It's a great opportunity for Fabio Wardley against Parker, who will be a big favourite. But Fabio Wardley's got the equaliser in his power. I think the problem for Fabio in this fight is the blueprint that Justice Hooney set, because Joe Parker is Justice Hooney and a bigger man with more power and more experience and a similar type of style. So big opportunity for Fabio Wardley. Slightly risky fight for Joseph Parker, but he needs to have the fight. As I said, my understanding is it's interim titles on the line, not full belts. I feel like, yes, of course, Alexander Usyk, it's great that he's the undisputed champion and he's proven himself, but it's almost time for the belts to be scattered or split up for people to fight over them. Ajit Kabayel, I understand, is being lined up for a fight in Germany as well. He's got an opponent, but they haven't announced that yet.
Yeah.
They're looking at Moser Tauma in the winter as well, getting out against a top 10, top 15 name, which is good. I'm not sure who it is at the moment. I mean, Hrgovic I'd like to see him in with. Jarrell Miller I'd like to see him in with. I understand there's a few other names. I'm not going to reveal them right now because I'll let them do that.
Andy Ruiz?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him in with Andy Ruiz. But again, how much is Ruiz going to need for that fight? Can they pay him enough at the moment? That's a Wembley Arena, O2 Arena type fight. Manchester Arena. It's those kind of arenas that he'd be big in rather than or Echo Arena maybe. But Manchester obviously is the second biggest fight town generally in the UK. But I'm glad, back on Wardley and Parker, I'm glad they're back at the O2. What I like about Joe, and I interviewed him at the end of the Usyk Dubois, Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois fight at Wembley, was he said, I'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. And he's kept to his word, and he's taken a hard opponent. He's taken an opponent with jeopardy. I think he starts, as I say, as a big favourite, but there are risks in this fight.
A brilliant fight. When I saw it on per se on paper when it got released that there's in talks. I thought, as a fan, take my money. Like it's fireworks.
But the great thing as well, Matthew, Lifesaver, is that the heavyweight division's on the move again, and we're about to have a year where we don't have Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua in a single fight, and that's the first time in 14 years in British boxing that we haven't had either of those guys in a fight during the year in a professional boxing ring.
What do you make of it says the WBO apparently are demanding Usyk under medical re-examination? He was seen online, dancing, he's got a back injury. I mean, I suppose when you look from the outside looking in and you Joe Parker or whoever you're looking going, come on. But what do you make of that from what you've seen?
Well, I mean, I don't want to cast aspersions on his fitness levels or injury levels, because I think dancing at a folk festival, in the way he was dancing, is different to having a fight. And if you've got a little strain or whatever it is, or you need something looked at, then it's a bit different to, having had a glass of beer and dancing for 2 minutes on stage in front of a crowd and you're getting adored. He was doing the twisty, as he does it. I mean, he's a brilliant dancer. Not as good as us. Not as good as us, though, by the way.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
He hasn't seen us dance yet. We're a few tequilas and we're in Belfast. Boy, can we dance.
Exactly.
I mean, I used that word complicit earlier. I don't want to be too complicit in allowing that. What boxing does, it allows its undisputed to sit for a certain amount of time, and the WBO have given an extension, but they want more medical evidence. Well, he'll give it to them. The thing is, what isn't clear at the moment is where Alexander Usyk will really go at this point. Will he end up fighting Moses Tauma next year? Will he fight Tyson Fury for a third time? Will he sit out for a while and watch the chess game unfold? What happens with Kabayel? What happens with Wardley? What happens with Okoli? What happens with Parker? Okoli's more fringe on all of that, but who knows? This time next year, we could be going into a fight between Moses Tauma and Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, that's mad. Look, just quickly, last two. Canelo Crawford is happening. I know we spoke about Donovan Crocker prior, but because obviously that's the fight that's coming up after this week. You're looking forward to going there, and what's your gut telling you going into this one of these historic fight weeks? It's absolutely like mental, and they're preparing for something huge. Canelo Crawford, it's going to be one of them that's talked about a long time. What's your gut telling you what happens?
Well, I think what my gut's telling me is that it will finally come alight next week. I mean, I've been slightly disappointed by the slow burn of it, Nothing sells itself anymore.
No. It's a shame.
Well, I mean, it's not a word I'd use there, but I've just been disappointed that there hasn't been more noise around it. But neither man is given to that kind of. That's not what they are temperamentally. It will be big next week. I'm really looking forward to being there. And for me, finally, mentally, the worm has turned, and I've been picking Crawford all along, but I've been picking over the bones of it really in the last few days, and I'm swaying now towards Canelo. Even though a draw isn't a bad option on 16-1 the draw, so
good odds.
I mean, I could see a split draw, but I think I'm going to pick Canelo in the end. I've picked Crawford most of the way. I went Crawford, then I went Canelo, then I went back to Crawford for a couple of weeks. But I'm just watching Canelo in the way he is, and I just don't think that psychologically or mentally or even physically, Crawford's going to be able to disfigure him like he can other people, or put them out of shape. I just think he's seen too much, even though he's slowed slightly and he loads up a little bit more these days. When you hear about all those people that have been in against him, say it's the small, subtle things. That's what's been interesting in the build-up. Everyone that's been in against him say, you know what? The little things he does he's so brilliant. He's suddenly in range. Or Paul Smith talking about him this week on Talk Sport as well, saying both my brothers fought him, and there's something special about the guy, and there's something special about Crawford.
Mm-hmm.
But the naturally bigger man is Canelo.
Yeah.
And the naturally more experienced man is Canelo. This is definitely Terence Crawford's moment to really prove that he is a great. And this is his moment to timestamp that. But I think I'm saying it to you for I think I might have said it on Talk Sport today with Adi Oladipo. I'm just swaying to Canelo now. I'm really looking forward to it.
And last one, obviously, there's 2 fight weeks. Obviously, there's Matchroom. We've got one in Sunderland, but we touched on it this just before the interview. Michael Conlan fights for the first time in Dublin as a professional against Jack Bates, and I know he was on TalkSport. I spoke to him yesterday. Interview will go out later at 5:00. Seems
Look at you plugging your own work.
I've got to do. Got to be your own biggest supporter, aren't you? Anyway, he seems in a really good place. He's been I would say, as happy as he has been in a long time going into this fight. But Jack Bateson is ready to go. I spoke to him a week or 2 ago. It's his big opportunity, and it's going to be an electric atmosphere in Ireland.
I hate to say this because, as I said earlier, I'm a huge advocate of who Michael Conlan is. This is a really tough fight. And what's Bateson undefeated in 15, I think, isn't he?
No, he's had 1 loss, and that was to Shabazz Massoud.
Oh yeah, to Massoud. Yeah, sorry, yes, but he's dangerous. He's dangerous. What I was saying is he's going in with an undefeated fighter's mentality. Had that loss? Sorry, thanks for reminding me. But I see Michael as a marginal underdog in this fight. And he wants, as you know, he wants to win a world title again. He's going to do it. He's going to stay at feather. He wants to do it. He wants to do it at featherweight. It's going to be going to be a really testing journey. He's just tested himself on lots of marathons, and he's physically fit as a butcher's dog. He's just got to be really smart in this fight. It's a good fight.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Good to be back in Ireland, though. Gareth, appreciate your time. We'll catch up very soon. Appreciate you jumping on as always, mate.
Always a pleasure, lifesaver. See you in Vegas.
See you in Vegas.
The revolutionary ankle lock system, an integrated brace built into the boots, delivering unrivaled support, protecting ligaments from twists, tears, and trauma.